Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to open your minds to a shift that is happening quietly yet powerfully right before our eyes. For decades, the world has viewed alliances as fixed, predictable, and controlled by the same handful of players. But the truth is, nothing in history ever stays still. Just like business, nations too must adapt, and those who adapt fastest often write the future. What if I told you that one of the most underestimated partnerships in the world is beginning to take shape? A partnership between two neighbors who share history, culture, and challenges, but are now realizing they also share opportunity. Iran and Pakistan, two countries often misunderstood in the global narrative, are moving closer together. Not because of chance, but because the pressures of geography, economics, security, and a changing world order are pulling them toward a new chapter. This is not just a regional story. It is a lesson in how nations rise when the world expects them to fall, how partnerships emerge when the old systems begin to crack, and how vision can turn obstacles into bridges. Over the next few minutes, I will take you through the forces driving Iran's shift toward Pakistan. Forces that reveal much more than politics. They reveal the future direction of global power and the opportunities waiting for those willing to see beyond the headline. So I ask you to stay with me until the end of this talk, not as spectators, but as thinkers. Because the ideas we explore here may change the way you see the balance of power, not just in Asia, but across the entire world. Iran's interest in Pakistan has always been shaped by the undeniable reality of geography. And today, the geography has become more significant than ever. Pakistan sits at the crossroads of South Asia, Central Asia, the Middle East, and has direct access to the Arabian Sea, making it a natural hub for regional trade and connectivity. For Iran, which has long sought ways to bypass international isolation and expand its economic outreach, this position offers both opportunities and strategic depth. The land routes and maritime access that Pakistan provides can connect Iran to markets in China, Central Asia, and even further into Europe through energy and trade corridors. This makes Pakistan more than just the neighbor. It makes it a potential gateway to a wider world. Historically, Iran has relied heavily on routes through the Persian Gulf for its exports. But these waters have always been vulnerable to geopolitical tensions and Western naval presence. Pakistan's ports, especially Gwadar, backed by Chinese investment, present Iran with a new alternative. If Iran and Pakistan deepen cooperation, Tehran could integrate into the China-Pakistan economic corridor, allowing its goods, energy, and even technology to flow eastward and northward without being choked by Western-controlled maritime bottlenecks. The value of such a route becomes more pronounced in a global economy where supply chain security and diversified access points are critical for survival. Another element that makes Pakistan strategically vital for Iran is its role as a bridge into Central Asia. With Afghanistan sitting in between, Pakistan is already the primary channel for Central Asian goods to reach the sea. And by aligning more closely with Islamabad, Iran can become part of this corridor. This would enable Iranian businesses to tap into new markets, expand influence in resource-rich Central Asian states, and counterbalance the dominance of other powers competing for the same region. In addition, the energy pipelines that have long been discussed between Iran and Pakistan underscore this geographical advantage. The long-delayed Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline is not simply an energy project. It is a symbol of how geography compels cooperation. Once fully operational, it would transform regional energy flows and give Iran direct leverage in South Asia's growing energy demand. When seen in the larger context, Pakistan's position as a land bridge and sea outlet is becoming a central piece of Iran's long-term strategy to strengthen its influence while bypassing the constraints imposed by the West. Iran's economy has long been constrained by sanctions, but its natural wealth in oil and gas makes it a country that cannot remain isolated forever. Pakistan, with its rapidly growing population and increasing energy demand, provides Iran with a natural partner to channel this wealth into a mutually beneficial partnership. Energy has always been the backbone of Iran's economy, and Pakistan's need for affordable and reliable sources of power creates a convergence of interests that is hard to ignore. The proposed Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline, often referred to as the Peace Pipeline, is one such initiative that reflects this reality. While it has faced delays due to political pressure and external opposition, its very existence highlights the natural economic logic. For Iran, Pakistan is a vast and radiant market, and for Pakistan, Iran represents a nearby and cost-efficient solution to its chronic energy shortages. Beyond gas, electricity trade between the two nations is already a reality, especially in border regions, where Iran supplies power to parts of Pakistan's Balochistan province. Expanding this cooperation could bring stability and development to areas that have often suffered from neglect and underdevelopment. Energy trade does not only create economic opportunities, but also builds interdependence, reducing the likelihood of conflict and strengthening the foundation for long-term cooperation. Iran understands that a stronger energy relationship with Pakistan could secure its role as a regional energy hub, while Pakistan would gain a reliable partner to fuel its industrial growth and urban development. Trade in non-energy sectors is equally significant. Both countries share a long border, and there is potential for flourishing cross-border commerce in agriculture, textiles, minerals, and manufactured goods. In recent years, efforts have been made to formalize and expand border markets to encourage legal trade and reduce smuggling, which has historically undermined both economies. Long for Iran, increasing trade with Pakistan not only diversifies its economic partners, but also offers a pathway to connect with broader South Asian markets. At the same time, these partnerships carry a deeper geopolitical value. By turning to Pakistan for energy and trade cooperation, Iran reduces its dependence on Western-controlled financial systems and bypasses the isolation mechanisms imposed by sanctions. Pakistan, with its balanced foreign policy and growing role in regional economic initiatives, gives Iran a channel to integrate with global markets indirectly. The convergence of energy and trade between the two neighbors is not simply a matter of economics. It represents a strategy of resilience and adaptation in a world where traditional alliances are constantly shifting. China's growing role in global economics and geopolitics has created new opportunities for countries that have struggled under Western pressure, and Iran views Pakistan as the key link to accessing those opportunities. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, often described as the flagship project of the Belt and Road Initiative, provides a direct connection between China's western provinces and the Arabian Sea through Pakistan's Gwadar port. For Iran, participation in or alignment with this corridor would be transformative. It would allow Iranian goods and energy to be integrated into one of the world's most ambitious trade networks, giving Tehran access to international markets through secure and diversified routes, unlike traditional maritime channels, which are vulnerable to blockades and geopolitical tensions. Land-based connections through Pakistan create a sense of stability and predictability for Iran's economic future. Gwadar port itself is a major attraction for Tehran. While Iran has invested heavily in its own Chabahar port, the close proximity of Gwadar and its connection to CPEC create possibilities for collaboration rather than competition. If Iran can integrate Chabahar and Gwadar into complementary roles, it could significantly expand its regional trade capacity and enhance its importance in the global supply chain. This vision of cooperation between ports and corridors is one reason Iran increasingly looks toward Pakistan as an ally rather than merely a neighbor. The role of China adds another layer of strategic value. Beijing has already become Iran's largest trading partner and a critical source of investment and technology transfer. By aligning with Pakistan through CPEC, Iran strengthens its indirect ties with China, allowing it to bypass Western systems and integrate into a rapidly developing alternative economic order for Pakistan, including Iran, in regional infrastructure projects, enhances its position as the central hub of connectivity between Asia, the Middle East, and beyond. Security and economic stability also tie into this factor. China has a vested interest in ensuring that the region surrounding CPEC remain peaceful and stable, and Iran's involvement could contribute to this goal. Shared participation in CPEC and related projects will create interdependence, discouraging hostility, and encouraging long-term collaboration. For Iran, being part of this network is not just about trade, but about securing a place in the future global economy where connectivity and supply chains determine influence. The China factor therefore turns Pakistan into an indispensable partner for Tehran's vision of resilience and growth in a changing world. Iran and Pakistan share one of the most sensitive borders in the region, stretching across Balochistan, a province often troubled by poverty, unrest, and militant activity. Both countries have suffered from cross-border extremism and smuggling, and this has created a natural convergence of security interests. For Iran, ensuring stability on its eastern border is just as important as its western concerns with Iraq and the Gulf. But Pakistan, containing militancy and ensuring a peaceful frontier with Iran is crucial to prevent additional security challenges while it already manages complex dynamics with Afghanistan and India. This shared need for border stability has laid the groundwork for closer cooperation in intelligence sharing, counterterrorism, and coordinated patrols along difficult terrain. Afghanistan remains a central factor in this equation. After decades of conflict, instability in Afghanistan has directly affected both Iran and Pakistan through refugee flows, drug trafficking, and the rise of extremist groups. Both countries realize that peace and stability in Afghanistan are essential for their own security and economic ambition. While they may differ in their approaches at times, their long-term interests overlap, as neither Iran nor Pakistan can afford an unstable Afghanistan on their doorstep. This mutual concern has pushed them to find common ground, whether through diplomatic engagement with Kabul or regional security initiatives involving other neighboring states. Another layer of cooperation stems from the broader fight against extremist ideologies. Groups operating in border regions, often with transnational networks, threaten both countries equally. Iran has faced attacks in its Sistan and Balochistan province, while Pakistan has struggled for decades against militancy spilling across its borders. Joint measures to combat such threats are not only practical, but also necessary, and Tehran increasingly sees Islamabad as a partner capable of addressing these challenges in ways external powers cannot. This cooperation is not only about fighting threats, but also about creating conditions for stability. that allow development projects to succeed. Infrastructure, trade corridors, and energy pipelines cannot flourish in regions plagued by violence, which is why security collaboration becomes inseparable from economic partnership. Iran understands that Pakistan's stability contributes directly to its own resilience. And Pakistan knows that a cooperative Iran strengthens its western flank as global powers reduce their direct military footprint in the region. The responsibility of maintaining stability falls more heavily on regional actors themselves. This shared burden of security creates not only a necessity, but also an opportunity for Iran and Pakistan to align more closely in pursuit of long-term peace and prosperity. For decades, Iran's relationship with the West has been defined by sanctions, isolation, and mistrust, leaving Tehran with limited options for economic and diplomatic partnerships. The repeated cycles of negotiations and breakdowns have created a sense of fatigue in Iran, where leaders increasingly view Western leverage as unreliable and even counterproductive. This shift in perception has pushed Iran to look eastward and toward its immediate neighborhood, where partnerships are built less on conditionalities and more on shared strategic interests. Pakistan is a neighbor with a large population, growing economy, and balancing foreign policy has emerged as one of the most attractive alternatives for Iran. Western sanctions have not only targeted Iran's energy exports, but also cut its access to global banking systems, making trade with Europe and North America extremely difficult. In contrast, Pakistan provides a land-based market next door where goods can flow more freely through barter systems, local currencies, or regional banking arrangements outside Western oversight. For Iran, such mechanisms reduce dependence on Western-dominated institutions like SWIFT and create a sustainable avenue for commerce. This decline in Western leverage has made partnerships with countries like Pakistan more valuable than ever, as they provide Iran with channels to bypass the isolation imposed by Washington and its allies. The geopolitical alignment also plays a role. Western powers often tie their engagement with Iran to political concessions on nuclear issues or regional influence, conditions that Tehran sees as attempts to limit its sovereignty. Pakistan, by contrast, approaches cooperation from a pragmatic angle, focusing on energy trade, security collaboration, and regional connectivity without attaching political strings. This approach resonates with Iran's desire for relationships based on equality and mutual interest rather than dependence. Furthermore, Pakistan's growing ties with both China and the Gulf states allow it to act as a bridge for Iran to maintain balanced regional relations. By aligning with Pakistan, Tehran not only secures an economic partner, but also positions itself in a network of countries that are less dependent on Western approval and more focused on regional development. This is especially relevant in a world where Western influence is gradually being challenged by emerging powers. For Iran, reducing reliance on the West is no longer just a choice, but a necessity, and Pakistan's role in offering alternative routes for trade, energy, and diplomacy has become central to this strategy. The international system is no longer dominated by a single power or even a small group of Western states. Instead, it is shifting toward a multipolar structure where influence is distributed among multiple rising powers. For Iran, which has often been at odds with Western policies, this transition represents an opportunity to redefine its alliances and reposition itself on the global stage. Pakistan, with its growing strategic importance and its ability to balance relations between East and West, has emerged as a natural partner in this evolving order. The strengthening of ties between the two neighbors reflects Iran's understanding that survival and progress in a multipolar world depend on building regional partnerships rather than relying on distant global powers. One of the driving forces of this alignment is the rise of Asia as the new center of economic gravity. China, India, and other regional players are reshaping trade and energy flows, and Pakistan sits at the heart of many of these dynamics due to projects like the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Iran sees in Pakistan a gateway to connect with these emerging centers of power, bypassing traditional routes controlled by the West. This access not only helps Iran diversify its economic partners, but also strengthens its role as a participant in a broader Asian-led framework of cooperation. At the same time, multipolarity reduces the effectiveness of unilateral sanctions and coercive policies. As more countries challenge Western dominance, Iran gains room to maneuver and can pursue partnerships that were once constrained. Pakistan's willingness to engage in trade, energy cooperation, and regional security dialogues despite external pressures demonstrates the possibilities available to Iran in this new order. By aligning more closely with Islamabad, Tehran strengthens its capacity to resist external pressure while embedding itself in a regional system that values mutual benefit over unilateral dictates. There is also a deeper political logic at play. In a multipolar world, influence is measured not just by military power, but by connectivity, economic interdependence, and the ability to shape regional agendas. Pakistan offers Iran precisely this: access to South Asia, integration into Chinese-led initiatives, and a role in stabilizing the region alongside other emerging powers. For Iran, partnering with Pakistan means more than securing trade routes or energy markets. It means becoming part of a broader coalition that is redefining the global balance of power. This reality makes the shift toward Pakistan a strategic necessity in Iran's long-term vision for navigating the future international system. In conclusion, the shifting of Iran's alliances toward Pakistan is not an accident of circumstance, but the outcome of converging realities. Geography places them as natural partners, energy and trade deepen their economic bonds, and China's growing role through CPEC offers them shared opportunities for global integration. Security challenges on their borders remind both nations that cooperation is no longer optional but necessary, while the steady decline of Western leverage pushes them to seek pragmatic and independent pathways. Finally, in a world moving toward multipolarity, Iran finds in Pakistan a partner with the vision, position, and resilience to shape the future together. This is more than a regional adjustment. It is the story of two neighbors recognizing that their destinies are intertwined in a world that no longer moves in one direction. For Europe and beyond, it is a reminder that new alliances are shaping tomorrow's global order, and understanding them is key to navigating the future with clarity. I wish you all the best as you reflect on these changes. May this knowledge help you see the patterns of tomorrow more clearly. Thank you for your time, and good luck to each of you in the journeys ahead.